It's 9 o'clock. We'll call the Floyd County Board of Supervisors regular meeting to order. September 26, 2017. First item on our agenda is to approve our agenda.
I move to approve.
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 2, public comment. Hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on. Item 3, review action regarding approval of September 11th and 12th, 2017 meeting minutes.
I looked them over and I didn't see any concerns, so I'll go ahead and move to approve September 11th, 12th meeting minutes.
Okay,
Seconded.
been moved and seconded to approve September 11th and 12th meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4, review action regarding approval of claims. And we've received them electronically, have them here.
Those been reviewed. I'd make a motion to approve them as presented.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the claims as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, we'll move to item 9, review action regarding board approval of MBS Family Farms Iowa Department of Ag Land and Stewardship application of anhydrous ammonia storage installation at Norwood Pork LLC, 3030 180th Street, Charles City. And we have an application here for MBS Farms, which is north and east of Charles City a little ways. This picture is a typical.
That's actually, it's not there yet.
Yeah, right. Is this when you're moving from somewhere? This or okay.
So my question was the agricultural building permit exemption application that was part of our packet. It talks about, because of the site location, and again, I'm just trying to make sure I understand what the requirements are on this, and I was doing some research, and I couldn't really find it. But it talks about being that the airport is close by, that the airport was notified or needs to be notified. Do you know, have they been contacted? And then I questioned too, what about neighboring homes?
According to Idaho's, and there's a map that shows us the distances to neighbors. They can't be within 500 feet.
That one, okay, so
So
that's,
there's a map that shows the red circle with 500 feet.
Okay.
And the two closest adjacent acreages are over 2,000 feet.
okay, so that one that you just provided us this morning gave an aerial
Yes.
shot of that.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering is how, because I couldn't find where the requirements were on that.
In the conversations I had with Idaho's, it was nothing mentioned about proximity of the airport being an issue.
Yeah, that was on the form that Andrea had here, where everything that was checked off talked about, where was it?
Map on the back.
No, it was part of the form that was in our
Last
packet.
page of this one?
Yeah, well, will there be signage? No. Does the applicant? Yeah. There was.
Well,
And that's why I was
that's on the very
wondering,
last
because it is
page. Does
close
the
to
airport
the
need to be
airport.
contacted?
Right.
What's the question?
Is property within 5 miles? Does the airport need to be contacted? Yes.
And so what I was trying to understand is this form that was in our packet, was this signed by Andrea? In other words, was that required from a zoning?
Issued.
This form is
I'm not even
the
sure what
online
you're talking about,
application.
so.
Okay, there.
This is the online application. Is that correct, Jeff? This right here?
And that's what I just gave you.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
yep. That's the online
So I
application.
don't know who
Alright.
filled that out, or did you fill that out? Karen, or-
So a portion of it out, and then one of my coworkers because I was out of the office.
Okay. And so again, part of my question is, as far as the requirements and the process that has to be completed, I'm not seeing a signature on that. Does that need to be reviewed and approved, or has it been approved and I'm just not seeing it? And then
Fort
it
County
did
Board of
mention
Customs
about the
Zoning, this is
airport.
Andrea.
Hey, Andrea, could you come up and answer a couple of questions
be
about
weird.
the application for the anhydrous?
Yes,
Thanks.
yep.
Bye-bye.
So I
We're talking
understand.
about.
Yeah, thank you.
I've heard a little bit about it, but
This one that he provided this morning has
Yeah, that has a signature.
that's a notary.
That's a
Carmen
notary.
Mayman has signed it.
Right, but that's why I'm just trying to understand, what is the process of trying to get approval for anything to be done, on the development of this?
So when
Well-
when Clyde first called,
According
there-
to IDOLS,
Right.
the bike burger, I met with him Wednesday last week.
Hey,
And he
Andrew.
said it needed to be on the, needed local approval, that's what prompted the call to Gloria for
Right.
being on your agenda. And then in talking to Gloria, there's a zoning requirement, there's different requirements, different counties, which prompted a conversation with Andrea and the online application. I was not aware of any potential requirement of contacting the airport, but if we need to, that can surely be done.
So Andrew, that's the question. So I was just
Okay.
asking whether or not, number one, do we also need to notify, surrounding farms or, people that live in that surrounding area? According to what we saw this morning, it looks like they're within the distance requirements for that, but on your form, it talked about the airport. Are you within the 5 miles of the airport? It says yes. Are they
Yep.
gonna be, and then they need to be notified?
Yep, so usually when there's something, if it's not over that 2 stories, we usually just let them know that there's a building going up.
Okay,
I don't think that it's gonna be anything tall enough that it's going to be an issue with the airport, we just let them know that it's,
so
there.
it's more about the height location
Right.
for the distance of the,
And that's,
Yeah.
height limitation.
and that's a
Versus
Floyd County
the risk
exclusive.
associated.
Probably no other zoning application has that except,
Well, there's other
Or-
counties that have that, but it's
more of an airport
it's-
height thing.
yeah,
Okay.
it's more of a limitation, like if we got a tower or something like that, that's when the airport needs to be notified,
right,
because them are the things. Or if you had a tall enough grain bin near the airport, that would be
Right.
something else.
Okay.
this thing is a Floyd County application.
That is
Yes.
correct.
This is the IDOLS.
right,
Right.
2 components to it.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
As far as the actual height of this tank, it is lower than either the buildings.
the
that
buildings
sit on the site.
themselves. Well, and I wasn't questioning so much the height as I wanted to know, because anhydrous ammonia is highly, it's a risk to having that in that area. So is it more about just the nature of it being an anhydrous tank that we're notifying neighbors that this is going up versus the airport? So that's where I was heading, not so much the height, restriction on it.
From the zoning point, there's nothing that we would specifically need to notify the neighbors on.
Okay.
If, as Board of Supervisors, you want to get input from neighbors.
That's up to us.
Well, we're getting
Yeah,
input from one right now. I mean,
Right, there's
Supervisor Jaden lives within 1,175 feet of the site.
Yeah, there's no zoning requirement to notify the neighbors,
Okay.
because we don't need to
All right,
rezone it for this
okay.
use.
That's really what I was checking, was just
Okay.
what are the requirements surrounding one of these being put up? So this is something new to me. Just trying to make sure that we're covering all our bases on it. Okay?
Looking back,
Those are the
when we
questions I
did
had.
approve the anhydrous tank at Floyd County Ag Center.
Right.
We went through a
Okay.
rather lengthy process and had a couple of meetings and did notify a lot of people regarding that. Certainly the people across the road at the Fairground Society, and
That was also in a floodplain
Floodplain.
besides, yeah,
that's correct.
And it was a commercial
And a
operation,
commercial, yeah.
right.
which
Right.
makes a difference.
Same, I think, with Ingalls.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and the green one We did a hearing on the green one, too, at the co-op, when they put their,
So if I get this right, we're the local component of this, and then you get your signature from your IDOL inspector.
Correct.
Yeah, number 11 on the IDALS app is what they're looking for from the board of supervisors.
Okay.
Okay.
Question is there a need for a public hearing then?
Nothing requires it in our zoning.
Not from a zoning standpoint, there's no requirement for public hearing.
I'm just following the state's
Yeah.
application. It
Mhm.
says, site subject to county jurisdiction must receive Board of Supervisor approval. That's what you're here to do today, Clyde.
Correct.
And you've got the paperwork in proper order after public notification that site approval is being considered, so.
And then what the supporting documentation that they get is a copy of the agenda that it was
That's
put in
the
the
next
paper.
number 12 there.
And, yeah.
And that's a requirement of IDOLs, to
Right.
make sure that we do have county approval.
And the way it looks to me like they're requiring a meeting agenda and minutes. Doesn't say anything about a public hearing.
IDOL's perspective, the distance requirements, the 500 feet, and then the location of residence nearest that site, as long as we're not trying to put it too close to a residence, that's their big concern.
Yep.
And that was my concern too, just making sure that, I just didn't know what those requirements were
Which we have a zoning
for
commission
distance.
Exists for the county, the group's recommendation for the group, the county zoning board. Recommendation must be discussed by the
Okay.
county board. Huh?
Is that what?
No, so I just, one question, or one thing it says on here is if a zoning group exists for the county, which
Yes.
we have a zoning commission, the group's recommendation must be discussed by county board. So would group be the zoning commission? I don't know, how do you read
Which it
that?
has not.
Yeah, how do you read that?
Yeah.
I don't know, I didn't have that in front of me, we just went through our zoning ordinance, so.
What do we do on the other one?
Well, they all
They
had,
were
they had,
commercial.
But it
They
was
were-
commercial, so
Yeah, they
it's
were
different.
selling and distributing, so it's different than just
Right.
on-farm use.
so the zoning commission did make a recommendation on that one, I believe.
Okay. So in most of our zoning, ag is exempt, right?
That's what it looks like.
So in that case, with that, do we need to have the zoning group?
It's as if there, if a zoning group exists for the county, the group recommends, so I don't know how you interpret it.
Is this the first one you guys have done? Yeah.
We have one at the home location, northwest of Plainfield. What's
Check
this?
it out.
Is that Bremer County?
That's Butler County. That's been there for quite some time,
Okay.
over 8
I was just wondering what they did.
That I don't know, that was done before I started working at the farm.
Right.
Butler does have some of them. I know Chickasaw doesn't, but Butler does have some.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my only concern here is that I'm not sure how much the public has heard about this, you know, even though it was in our agenda, that's pretty much it.
When does your zoning board meet?
As
Not-
needed at this point.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
They,
As
they,
needed.
they
As
meet
needed.
as needed.
Oh,
When-
okay.
With application.
Yeah.
So with an application, you'd, if we decided you had to call a meeting
If we have to publish it, we have to publish with a week's notice. And if it's just a general meeting, to give a recommendation, typically they meet on Tuesdays. We're obviously down one member, so.
So it'd have to be a week, and that'd be 2 weeks. If you had to publish it for a week, and by the time you get to another Tuesday.
Well, they could probably meet before your next
That's-
Board of Supervisors meeting. If they needed to meet on a day other than a Tuesday, we could.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I know, like I said, I just wanna make sure that we're doing the right thing, making sure that the neighbors are aware, and I'm not seeing that there's a deadline on this, so I'd almost move to make a recommendation that we pull the zoning commission together, have them review this, and give us a recommendation.
I'd agree. I think it's prudent to just follow the rules that we're obligated to follow according to the state's application, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. What do we have? We have review action, so that's our action. I'll make a motion.
Would a motion to table the application be appropriate until such time the Planning and Zoning Commission makes a recommendation to the board regarding the application for the anhydrous ammonia?
And I'll second that.
Okay,
And that would be a certain date or just a date of?
Well, it's ideal to have a date that you're tabling to.
Right.
So,
So it'd be our
At the
next
table.
meeting, which is October
October
10th,
10.
so that would be having to get that commission together quickly.
I know you're operating one member short.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We,
recently.
Today would have been a great day to get the farmers in the field.
There you go.
what's that?
Okay.
I said today would have been a great day to have the farmers in from out in the field.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So until October 10th?
Okay.
As the MRF?
And again, I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to table the application for MBS Family Farms until October 10th for review by the zoning commission at their earliest convenience. Okay? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Well, sorry about that.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Yep, you bet.
Okay. It is 9:15, so we'll declare the public hearing open for the disposition of partial 091415100600. Part of lot 1 in the north, I'm not gonna read that legal description, in Rockford for a small strip of ground that we've talked about before, which we have an offer for $250 by Stacy Jones. It's a small strip of ground that we wound up owning, and was access to the river as part of our Rockford Dam one time.
I have heard
So-
nothing.
Had any public, I've had no public input.
Nope, have you received no oral or
Oral.
public comments in support of or objection to?
Okay,
I did visit with Stacy last week, and he wasn't sure if he was gonna make the meeting. But he did tell me that they have closed on the property, and they've purchased, they've kind of had a new survey done, and they don't have all of this parcel, but they have a major chunk of this parcel. And they're not sure what they're going to do yet with that property, if they're gonna build. I've given them floodplain maps and that type of stuff also. And he hopes that you will consider his offer.
okay. Okay, well, with no input, I'll declare the hearing closed. then we'll take up item 6, which is review action regarding disposition of parcel 091415100060.
I have visited with the county attorney, and he's willing to draw up a deed for the, if you accept this offer, he's willing to draw up deeds to make it happen.
Okay. That's part of your package. Package here, the offer is $250.
Well, with that, I can make a motion to go ahead, since nobody's here objecting, to allow Stacy Jones of Sheffield to purchase the property 091415100600 for $250 and start paying the taxes and maintain it.
Seconded.
Okay, been moved and seconded to dispose of this parcel, as we described 5 times, to Stacy Jones. All those for an offer of $250. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 7, we'll now open a public hearing regarding ordinance 2017-3, an ordinance relating to the definition of and regulating the treatment of dangerous dogs. Which we have had discussion over the last
Any concern?
6 weeks. Is there any, have we had any public input?
I have had no public input on this. I know, the city, did they finally, I think, approve theirs?
It's
for
been 6 months
Charles
ago, but I had a guy tell me that we desperately needed this because he got bit by a dog when he was mowing a lawn, but that's the only response I've ever had.
Yeah,
You-
and I've got a response back from North Springs, their city council finally went over it and they were fine.
They were
with it.
okay with
They didn't have
it?
any
Okay.
issues with it.
Okay.
And I heard from Floyd and Red both, so they
Good.
were fine.
There were some corrections made, there were some numbering that was not correct on the ordinance, and so I went through all of that with Randy. He was good with making those changes. He said there wasn't any relevance to the publication notice having those, there was like an A where there should have been a 1 point something in a couple of spots.
So this is the revised,
What you have
that we
is the
have.
corrected one, and also adds your hearing date
Okay.
information to it.
I would move to approve the.
Whoops, I gotta close the hearing.
Oh, excuse me. sir. Yeah.
So with that, with no more public input, I'll declare the hearing closed. And we'll move to item 8, which
Right.
is review action regarding the first reading of ordinance 2017-3, setting the dates for the second reading and/or waiving second and third readings and final passing of ordinance 2017-3. Okay.
Okay, I move the approval of ordinance 2017-3 and set the second hearing date at our next regular board meeting on October 10th.
Okay.
and I will second that.
Okay. Been moved and seconded to approve the first reading of ordinance 2017-3 and setting the date for the second reading, again, October 10th. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Item 10, review action regarding demolition and removal of abandoned house and demolition of property located at 1726 Woodland Drive, Charles City, formerly known as the Hummel property. And that was the topic of our discussion yesterday.
And after a discussion on this, we talked about sending a letter to the other bidders to let them know that we do have this offer of demolition of the property with the exchange of purchase on the table, to give them enough time to respond if they want to modify the bids. I also have a question though, and I can't remember if we discussed it yesterday. Is this also taking the bid back out to anybody else that, you know, would be interested now?
Essentially a rebid.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it might be the way to go ahead and do it. I mean, the current bidders can either continue to keep their offer on the table without modifying it, but would it open up maybe somebody else that wants to now come in and bid on it, maybe they didn't the first time? So that's one proposal I have.
So
Just so it's fair.
if you're rebidding, are you you wanna do public notice again, you're suggesting, and then, is that what you're saying? And then
Well, I guess,
that's the alternative,
yeah.
there's an alternative bid to purchase, is that what you're saying? Because what Randy had mentioned yesterday was just notifying
Notifying the two bidders.
the three who showed interest and setting a public hearing for disposition. So I'm just looking for clarification.
Yeah, because again, that's true, that if we opened it up for rebid, you have to go through the process again.
If you're changing the,
Yeah,
if your intent is to rebid, to have that option to own,
I mean,
in exchange of ownership.
the other alternative is to go ahead, like we spoke yesterday, just go ahead, send the letters out to the other two that had bid, notifying them that they have a date, you know, that we will set, whether it's October 9th, to respond for any modifications that they may want to make on theirs. And then also at that time, though, to hold a notice on the 10th for anybody that wants to come as a public, correct? At that time?
A public hearing for disposition of the property. That's what Randy talked about
Yeah.
yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty close to opening up the bidding again if we just notify two people and essentially tell them that, well, now that we've had a bid that include a swap for the demolition work for the property, are you interested in that? Maybe we should just rebid the process.
I got thinking about it
And then-
after our meeting
and then-
yesterday.
Because I think the intent of that was to eliminate any possibility that either of those two bidders would say that the original bidding process was unfair. I think that's what Randy
that's-
said to us.
Right.
So maybe it's just as clear as and cleaner to just open
Rebid.
up, rebid the process.
And at that time, too, we could change the date, because I think we had a date of November 1st, you know, since we've delayed.
And so are you wanting the bid specifications
That's
to
right.
be rewritten?
That's the next
To-
question. If we're gonna rebid, then what kind of specs do we want in the
Right.
in the rebidding process? Do we want to include a swap for the cost of the demolition for the deed to the property or not? That would still give any bidder that bid the first time the opportunity to do the job.
And then
It's
again-
interesting because, again, you know, there wasn't any interest with, you know, with the tax sale certificate being reassigned or anything like that, which would require somebody eventually to take down the house as well. So I don't know if you'd have interest or not, if it's.
Well, I think what it does is it takes one additional step to make sure that, you know, we're doing the right thing by, you know, informing the public. They all have equal rights to go ahead and send in a bid if they're interested. And again, it's just one additional step that we're taking, so.
So the bidders
make
would have
this-
to meet the qualifications of
Yes.
demolishing the property
Yes, just like
by
we,
whatever, December 1st or whatever date.
And the other issue that we could discuss, because the county attorney's opinion was based on the fact that the bid by Jean Ann Cannon LLC met the qualifications because the bid specs did not say anything about,
Right.
you know, acquiring the property through a swap.
Yes.
Why don't we just clarify that whole issue and just eliminate that possibility? That still gives Gene and Cam the ability to make a bid to, or Cam Construction to make a bid to demolish the property and later on purchase if they like to. That would eliminate that question. Change the bid requirements to more normal and customary.
The bidding process is normal, what we've used with other, this was a template from what we used in the FEMA process. Are you looking then that you would also set a date for that public hearing to dispose of the property?
Well, I guess the first question first, we just stipulate, because that if we're not going to accept a bid in exchange for the work, and that eliminates that as an issue. Still gives CAM Construction the ability to bid on the demolition, like any other bidder.
You
At
could,
some point in time, they could try to acquire the property through sale. To me, it just makes it a lot cleaner.
if you're gonna do that, just make it simpler and just call it a unresponsive bid and throw it out and just accept one of the two you got. And then you don't have to go through the whole entire process again.
I get to thinking about the.
I mean, on the other
county
hand, I
attorney.
know, and I'm trying to be fair, but on the other hand, I do like the fact that, you know, we're really doing two things. You know, we're demolishing, you know, the property that's on it, and, you know, the ability to sell it at the same time. I mean, it's a clean process of doing it. I guess the only issue I think it was our concern is that we want to make sure that we don't want somebody coming back on us at a later time, you know, and questioning, I guess, the process that we went through. Because like you had mentioned yesterday, this is something that has never come about before. So again, it comes back to, gosh, we have an opportunity, you know, to sell it, which is,
That opportunity still exists.
yeah.
After the property is demolished like we had planned all along. I don't think anybody had surmised that we were going to receive a bid for swapping the property in exchange for the demolition. And so that opportunity still exists. It seems to be the fairest to the other builders who I don't see have a real interest in changing their bid, just because now they know that the county would accept the acquisition of the property in exchange for the demolition. Why would the other bidders want the property?
Property, no.
Gene and Cam has a desire to have the property
Right.
because, for reasons stated.
Right.
Would there be any problem with following Randy's suggestion? And if anyone has an issue with it, then they could come out and say, we don't like this, what you're doing? You know, with Randy's suggestion, with getting the two other bidders on board, seeing if they're interested, and then October 10th, acting on that following a disposition hearing?
Because that hearing set for October 10th would be the public's ability to come and share any concerns at that time.
So we're just back to the question if we want to kind of ask for more input on the existing bidding process or start it over again.
All
If
right.
there was interest in the property, we
I know.
would have had it through
Right.
tax sale
I know.
certificates and that type of thing, but
Well, I just want to make sure that we thought through this process. So, all right, the more I think about it, I will make a motion to go ahead and let's send a letter out to the other two bidders, letting them know, you know, what we are doing as far as giving them that opportunity to modify their existing, bids that they have already submitted, knowing that we have this offer on the table. Give them till October 9th to respond with any modifications to their bid. Let's set the public hearing for the disposition of property on October 10th at our next meeting, and giving the public the amount of time to come back, and let's see if there's any concern that they have. I mean, all of this is public, it's in the paper, it's, we're being transparent about what's going on. I know if we go back out for rebid, I question that at some point, but then we're still at the point where even, getting the demolition to occur, we're still with property that needs to be sold, and this way we can, have the ability to do both. So that's my motion right now on the table.
Just a question regarding that. Does that give the third bidder, Gene and Cam LLC, the opportunity to revise their bid? Or is it just the other two? I mean, could Gene and Cam LLC come in and resolve the situation and say, well, I withdraw that bid for the swap?
It could.
Well, if you're only
Yeah, that's
sending
right.
letters
That's why I
to
was
two
saying
people,
letters to two
I just want to
people,
know
you're
that,
right.
is that option out there, that
Yeah.
this issue could be all resolved and still allow CAM Construction to put a bid in for demolishing the property, a cash bid, and then acquire the property through purchase?
That's never gonna happen because I operate in that world and I already know what the other two bids are, so I'm not gonna give you a bid less than. Personally, morally, I could not do that.
No, that wasn't my
That's-
point at all. My point was if you could remove your bid in exchange for a swap, and essentially that question goes away.
What if you just send that letter to all three, giving the other two the option, but also notifying them, Cam, that you're doing this, and if they wanna change their bid, they could do it at that time.
All right, I will change my motion.
Just a suggestion.
All right,
So you're opening it up to someone besides Jay and Cam could bid, then you're saying Cam Excavating then could bid. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Right?
that's it. I understand the county attorney's suggestion yesterday,
Yeah.
but we're contacting bidders to see if they want to
modify.
remodify their bid. Pretty clear we're not going to get a new bid number. Do you really think they're going to acquire the property in exchange for the bid? No. So what does that do? I'm just suggesting that if we're going to change the bid process, it's pretty important. We accept bids. We opened up bids. It's an open public process. We have a bidder who's the chair of the Board of Supervisors who is making a bid that is in exchange for a swap, and it's not normal and customary. It does have a precedent-setting nature. I just would rather clear up the issue rather than this specific question on this particular bid. And that's why I think just reopening up for bids, or giving them the opportunity to withdraw that bid and bid like all the others, which means precluding the opportunity or the availability to swap it in exchange. And yesterday Doug said he's done that in private practice, but this isn't private business. This is the public's business. And I just want to make this so we all understand that there's probably a better way to do it than acquiring the property through that means.
The bid specs then would be, just for clarification, we'd be adding that option to acquire the property as an option in that bidding.
No,
No.
no. No, I'm saying we're not going to allow that.
Okay.
That you're not going to, in a public bidding process, allow anyone to swap the property.
Well, again, I
But
said,
it-
just to make it easy, just call it an
Call it
unresponsive
call
bid
excavating.
and reject the bid and take one of the low ones. Make it easy.
Could do that too.
I think you've got an opportunity here to kind of kill two birds with one stone with,
That's my concern, because
parcel
I kind
not
of like
ending
the
up in the
opportunity that we
county.
have.
Well, just so
get
you
it
know,
back on the
that,
tax rolls.
that is a very small lot, as far as getting somebody to purchase it. It's gonna be tough, because
That's,
it's, there's not room for a leach field, you know, with that lot. I think it's a half an acre, what is it? I can't remember what it is, but it's a small lot, so it's gonna be a tough lot
To sell,
to sell,
right,
to build on.
right.
I mean,
There must be.
but it was built on before, but,
Well, the point of it is, Gene and Cam feels it's worth something.
oh,
Must be worth $11,000, so
yeah.
wouldn't that be worth that much or something to that bidder after it's cleaned up?
I can't
Well-
answer the question, no, I can't.
Kind of go back to again that it wasn't
Yeah.
worth anything to anybody on a
No, I
tax
know
sale
that
deed.
we already notified them.
And what are we talking about, $238 taxes? On the property, so.
Oh, I
The issue really gets a little more fundamental regarding how we conduct business and the public bidding process. We've had questions at this table before about bids coming in at 9:05 in the morning, when the bidding closes at 9, when the stamp clock is operated. We've had questions regarding public bidding process, and I think that is probably the primary objective of resolving this issue, is maintaining the integrity of our public bidding process. This just gets us into a little gray area I'm just not comfortable with. When the chair of the Board of Supervisors has a bid through an LLC to acquire land in exchange for demolition, I think we could just clear that up, and I think Chair Cam has said twice now at the meeting, just call it an unresponsive bid
Unresponsive.
and reject it. And accept another bid. Accept the low bid and move on and see if,
With
Yes.
Rand, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
With Randy's suggestion though, with having that public hearing for disposition of the property, if you have that before you do bids, wouldn't that give you the opportunity to see if anybody is interested in that property? If you have interest in that property, then your action on those bids after that meeting would be not to accept any bids
We could do
For-
it at that time,
demolition.
after we're hearing from the public.
Maybe that's even all you do right now, is just not act on a bid specs, but just have disposition of the property, see if there's any interest.
Yeah.
Well, we do have in the original bid specs notification that we were going to get back to the prospective bidders by September 12th, and that date's
And I think they've,
long past.
yeah.
And so we have a
yeah,
responsibility
I've talked to
to the other contractors of what's going on. You know, we just keep holding public hearings.
That's the government way.
Well, again, I think, we've shared, I think, our concerns on, this being a unique situation. I still like the fact, though, at the end of the day, that we have an opportunity to not just clean it up, but to sell, which I agree, if we've never heard from anybody before that there was ever any interest on this, just by simply cleaning it up, I'm not so sure that there's still gonna be anybody clamoring to purchase this property. That's another concern I have,
There
so,
are also other vacant lots in that subdivision too, so.
yeah. So it kind of tells the story. Again, I think I'll still stand right now. I think we'll give the public an opportunity to respond if we continue to follow with making the motion to go ahead, send the letters out. We can send the letters to all three bidders, letting them know that if they want to come back and modify the bid, that's fine. Give them till, again, October 9th to respond. We will hold a public hearing for disposition of the property on October 10th. Does that need a time? So like 9:15 on October 10th. To review, find out if there's anybody that, wants to come and share any concerns on this. Let's go ahead and hear. And that can all be done before any decision is made on what we do with the property and the bidding.
Hearing time,
Pardon?
hearing time, did you say?
Hearing time, I said 9:15.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that's my motion on the table.
Well, I'll second the motion because I'd like to continue discussion. So, further discussion on that. So under that scenario, then we called for a public hearing on October 9th. We've authorized the three bidders that they can.
Public hearing on 10th, on our next meeting.
10th.
The
Excuse
10th, yeah.
Excuse me. On the 10th regarding the disposition of the property. And we've authorized the three bidders that they can revise their bids. And essentially that means two of the bidders, they can acquire the property in exchange for the swap. We're going to authorize that? If they so offer that?
If they so offer.
So then who's going to decide who gets it? That's the option they're getting. Because they've already got a bid in.
The bids
And
include
then-
a sort of value.
Yeah,
Okay.
they'd have to include a value.
And then in the case of CAM, Gene and CAM LLC, they would have the opportunity to place a bid. Well, they know the bid number, so they're not going to do that.
Right,
So
yeah.
their only choice is to withdraw their bid. Is that right?
I don't understand that. That would be withdrawing the bid.
We're giving the option to change it. What is it? Yeah.
From what Randy had said yesterday, you could assume a value from the bid that they had.
Right,
But he talked both ways, whether it could be the value of the assessed value of the property, could be the lowest bid value.
right. Right.
As I previously stated, I think the integrity of this public bidding process is probably more important an issue than the specifics that we just discussed. We had an example where we were bidding the road rock in Floyd County for the very first time to someone other than the normal recipient. And we got into a bidding process where we discussed all kinds of things like, was the company a locally owned company? And that took us down a long road where we actually decided to take the low bid. I understand your motion. I just really think the integrity of the bidding process is more important than this system we're setting up to allow the other contractors to swap their work in exchange for the property, which is essentially what I see as the motivation for it. I see that the CAMs could put a bid in on the work, get the bid, not get the bid, and then decide later if they want to purchase the property. It is obviously something they desire, or they wouldn't have put the bid in that way. So for those reasons, I'm call for the vote.
Okay.
But I'm not going to support a vote against it. We have a motion on the table. It's been seconded, so we do have to vote, so that ends my remarks.
Do you want to repeat? Do you know what that motion is?
Yeah, I moved to send notice to the other two bidders to the bidders, giving them an opportunity to modify their bids.
All three bidders.
All
But-
three
right,
bidders.
yeah,
Mhm,
yeah.
All three.
To modify their bid which would include an offer to acquire deed to the property, providing notice by October 9th, and then also setting the disposition of property at a public hearing on October 10th at 9:15 a.m. Does that sound like your motion?
Yes, it is. You got it.
Okay. That is the motion. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
And I'll abstain. So motion dies. So we move on to number 11.
No, no.
Now,
No, we haven't resolved this one yet.
yeah.
Then I would, I think the next logical step might be just to rebid the process.
Okay.
And state in the specifications that, well, however you want to put it, we're not accepting the swap for the, in cash. None of us expected this, a bid to come in this form. You know, I mean,
So essentially now you're
Bids.
asking all the other bidders to come in at a lower price than what they bid, because they
no,
know
we're
what the
just, no, we're
bids
just
are.
essentially asking CAM Construction to, if they care to make a bid regarding that from the cash, not a swap. What this does is just says we're not going to accept a swap for county property from the chair of the Board of Supervisors. I mean, that's what we're getting to me. It just, does it pass all the tests? It just,
Again, I think you're making it way too complicated. Why don't you just call it unresponsive? There was nothing in that form that said that couldn't be an option, but just call it unresponsive and take the low bid. Be done. Otherwise, you screw around and you're not gonna get it done this year, and we've been messing with it for a year already.
Actually, 5 years.
It's an easy process.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
that solves the same issue to me. I don't know. Not quite saying he's gonna withdraw the bid, but he's suggesting us what to do, so I'm fine with that.
Whenever, Dusty will tell you this, whenever you don't take low bid, all you're really doing is playing a bluffing game. Anybody can sue anybody for not taking low bid, but there are plenty of valid reasons not to. All you gotta do is call it. I'm not going to sue you. I'm not going to. I just thought it was a way to save the county some money and a step in the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's, to me, that's as simple as just call it unresponsive and accept a low bid.
And then that in turn sets a precedent for the future, that we're not accepting
Because
bids
the way
other
you're
than-
going at it, by, all you're really doing is giving Cam Excavating another chance to bid it, or anybody else that wants to. But the low bids are out there in everybody knows what the low bid is now. That's not
Yeah,
fair
he
to,
already
that's
knows
not
what
fair
the
to
low-
Bob Cole.
He already knows what the low bid.
Oh, I understand that.
You're-
So
you're
that's
not-
why the whole
Yeah.
process that Supervisor Jaden started out with is a bit questionable, because we're gonna get to the same point in 2 weeks. So if we reopen the bidding process, are we gonna get to the same question? Probably.
Yeah.
So I'm perfectly willing to take the suggestion of Supervisor Cam then to reject the bid and accept the low bid.
Is that a motion?
I just have to say, before I make the, that you made the
I
motion on that.
haven't quite yet.
Okay,
I
I was
just-
gonna say, all right. And again, I still feel that we're missing an opportunity of, trying to get the property sold at the same time of cleaning it up. I am concerned that we're gonna sit on that property, nobody's gonna want it. There's a reason why they want it. It makes sense to me why they want it. It was an opportunity. I don't think it was ever done in any way of saying, hey, I'm trying to undercut, the county by doing this. I don't believe that, and I just want that on record, that I don't believe in any way that that was the reason, for this coming through. I think Supervisor Cam and just looked at this as it is an opportunity because it's adjoining some of their property, so. But it seems that we do have, an issuer precedence that, if it's a concern that we would be taking, okay.
Well, just to kind of, before I make the motion to kind of resolve that issue, we're not precluding that property from being purchased by Gene and Cam or Doug Cam or anyone else. Similar to what we did with the property we just disposed of in Rockford. Anyone can come in and make a bid on the piece of property that the county owns, and if the Cams want to purchase it, they can certainly do that in the normal procedure. And
Agreed.
that, to me,
Agreed.
is, we're not eliminating the possibility that they can own it, but we're just doing this up front that, to me, makes it a little, it retains the integrity of that public bidding process. So my motion then is to accept the low bid and reject
The letter of
The bid by
intent,
JAK
right.
LLC,
right.
okay?
Low bid is $11,800 by Cole Excavating.
Yes, that's my motion to accept that bid.
And I'll second.
Okay, been moved and seconded to reject the bid of JAK LLC and accept the low bid of Cole Excavating for that amount, whatever it was, 11,000 something. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Yeah, and I'll not vote. Okay, now we move on to item 11. Review action regarding abatement of taxes on a building on a land owned by another parcel 1228200000680, owned by Leo Joseph Tilges. And that was a trailer house that was sitting on somebody else's property, the way I read that.
Yes, would you like Frank to come in, or do you need him for this? This letter is pretty.
This letter has two of them on
I was gonna
here.
say there's two.
Yep, I put it as two separate motions.
Okay, we have
They
two
were
separate motions,
different-
okay.
Totally different issues.
This is the amount abated, $8 for a mobile home. The mobile home has been sold and moved.
Yep, that's what his letter says.
For $8, do we need Frank to explain it to us?
No, I don't believe so. So
Okay.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve abatement of taxes on this parcel that's owned by Leo Joseph Tildes.
Okay.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to abate the taxes on the building on partial 1228200000800. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 12, review action regarding abatement of taxes on partial 80235300700 owned by the city of Cowell, acquired by a treasurer's tax sale deed. And the amount to be abated is $94, and that's,
That's the full year tax.
Frank has written abate.
So that's his recommendation.
Okay, and this one is $94.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the abatement on this property owned by the city of Caldwell that was acquired by the treasurer's tax LD.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to abate the taxes on partial 80235300700 owned by the city of Cowell. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 13, review action regarding resolution to set the date for a hearing on the urban renewal plan amendment for the Southwest Bypass urban renewal area, which is you guys
Go
are,
ahead, through the chair.
This is the Southwest, this is for a public hearing to update, to amend the urban renewal plan for the Southwest Bypass. This is the joint one with the city of Charles City. The reason for the amendment is for Cambrex project, and they potentially, you could set your hearing for October 10th. The Southwest TIF Board did talk about, we met on September 15th, I think.
Mm-hmm. That sounds right, yes.
Yeah. And the TIF Board recommends that the cities and the counties amend the urban renewal plan and follow through with the hearings, and then there's also would be meetings with the other jurisdictions, the schools. The county would have a meeting with the city, city would have a meeting with the county and the schools. We've talked about having a joint meeting for that purpose, since it is for the same amendment. Both amendments will read the same. And
You're saying have one set public hearing, or?
this is just one hearing, just a public hearing for this. Yeah, it's not an ordinance, it is,
Okay.
so it doesn't require multiple hearings.
So if it's our action though to set a date, so if they are doing one hearing, how are they wanting to proceed with
The
this?
city does their
Their
hearing,
hearing.
the county does, they're doing theirs
That's what I
on
wondered.
the 16th, I believe, is their hearing.
Okay,
And
October 16th?
I think, I don't remember for sure, I think it was October 16th, I'm not sure. We could get ours in the paper, have our hearing on the 10th, or you could do it the 24th, whatever your preference, there's time with it. But although they would rather have it earlier than later if you could. The consultation with the schools, Trudy and I, that's what would be coordinated, that would be joint. And that's
Okay.
not a,
okay,
that's just we send a letter to the schools, to the school, and we send a letter to the city, and the city sends a letter to the county for the consultation meeting. And just, we go over what the project is. Typically, nobody shows up at the consultation meetings.
Doesn't seem like it, does it? Okay.
So October 10th is the date that
Could
would
you
work?
to the 10th?
All right, we're having several other hearings then. I'd make a motion to approve setting a hearing date for the urban renewal plan on the Southwest Bypass TIF district. What time? Have we already scheduled some times on the 10th?
We have, You have your
One for
second
the
reading of your dog ordinance, but
ordinance,
that's not a.
right, the dog ordinance.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not a specific time, so you could,
And chances are we'll see our
excuse me?
application and Hyder's application
Yeah,
that same day. So,
that won't be a public hearing for you though either, that will be, zoning will have their hearing, but you'll just take a recommendation
okay.
from there.
9:15? Okay. Setting it for 9:15 on October 10th.
I'll second.
Okay, been moved and seconded to set the hearing for the urban renewal plan amendment for the Southwest Bypass Urban Renewal Area on October 10th at 9:15. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 14, discussion with the county engineer about secondary road activities.
Really don't have much as far as official. Probably just talk about the projects going on, T26. All the dirt work has been completed, modified sub-base down. The last of seeding probably would have happened today, but it rained yesterday.
How much rain did they get over in that neck of the woods? Very much.
Dennis Willer lives a mile west of there. He's right on the Rockford Road. He had an inch last night, or 9/10. Other places in town here
It
said
varied.
2.5.
I know.
I
Well, you
had-
were talking 4.
4
Where?
3/4 was our house.
Really?
I
Was
did
that
too.
yesterday too, or was that yesterday
Last
and
night.
last night?
That was
Because I had a
6
half.
o'clock last night.
Okay. At my place, I had I think half an inch during the day, and then last night I had 9/10. So I'm on the east side.
Really
But
varied.
yeah, hit and miss. So I mean, but that helped. Other the areas that they did grass or put seed out, I mean, that grass has been coming up pretty good. So. Right now, all the modifieds have been down, like I said, their last minute stuff, and sounds like where their Cedar Valley's paving Emmitsburg, I think, that they're hoping to wrap up by the end of this week, that they didn't, if they didn't get rain, move the plant in next week, and then probably tentatively start paving October 9th. So they're out there, I mean, we got,
Their plant's gonna get set up over there in that old sand pit.
yeah, on the west side, south of the San Go Rockford Golf Course down there, so. So that's moving along. I mean, we've got plenty of time. People are nervous, panicking that it won't get done, but it'll get done. It'll just be late, which might be good too, because then if there's any crops that may have to come out soon, maybe that'll come out, and then we'll work around everything. So, but gravel roads probably a little washboardy out there. You guys may have gotten some calls on some of those. The rain is definitely going to help. We were spot blading last week. I know I got jumped this weekend by people. Who do I talk to about rough roads? I'm like, we were talking to them. I said, call me on Monday. No, I said so. I just said it's been really dry. I mean, the worst thing that people don't understand is if you try blading the areas that are washboardy, you're almost wasting time because then 2 or 3 days, 4 days later, it's back. So you really don't gain much until we
All
get
you
some
do is
moisture.
really dry it out and you wind up with a bunch of marble laying on
Yeah.
top of it.
So this rain definitely will have helped to start going to town and blading some more out across the county. Got a meeting tomorrow for the Quarry Road north of the ethanol plant. You know, proceeding with that. Those check plans have to be in, I think, the first or second week in October. So we'll get that letting. I think we're still scheduled for a February letting there. So everything as far as 170th Street Bridge, which I call Frankie's Bridge up there. You know, the right of way's been in that. All submittals will be in for that basically. So we'll be on board for letting that and having that constructed next summer also. So, I did have the school call me north of town. Just want you guys aware of it. Drainage District 4, where the school purchased for their sports complex. Todd Forsythe had called me just this morning about if they do anything with this area here where they're going to build, about tiling that and getting drainage for it. And that is a drainage, part of the drainage district. So I told him, I said, I don't know if they, you know, in the past, from my recollection, and I don't know how much.
Is that whole entire parcel included in that drainage district?
Yes,
Is it?
yes it is. That, you know, other places across the county when they have these, you know, landowners can tile and tap into these mains because they're part of the district. So he wanted a map on it and running through that north quadrant, there's a 10-inch lateral that goes in there, but I don't know if have we had him come in to talk about people tiling and tapping into mains and laterals? I don't believe so. They're just, I think it's written in the code that they're allowed to tap into that, so
Right,
I plan on giving this information just so you guys are aware of it in case something comes of it. I don't know much more to tell him than that, but I'll get him the map, and go from there, so just want you guys aware of that, in case something comes of it down the road. And then as far as the collection site out there, you know, I'm still kinda on hold of making my signs for out there. You know, I don't know if the landfill has decided anything different.
We haven't done anything up there
Okay.
officially.
I may just make the sign the way we have it scheduled right now, and if down the
Get 'em
road
out
we
there.
pull cardboard or something like that, then we'll just scratch it off.
Right.
Good idea.
So, 'cause it's just sitting out there without signs, and I've been waiting a little bit, but I think maybe it's just time to jump and go. And
Do you have a way to recycle out there? Is there something out there for cardboard now?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
There's cardboard, there's glass. So yeah, I mean, it's just whether the actual garbage thing, whether we just do bags or boxed and bagged. But right now, it's on, that's what it has to be, boxed or bagged. So, okay, I'll just move forward with that stuff. Boy, about it really, I don't have a lot, guys. Unless you guys got anything specific, it's kind of one of those. Keep plugging along, finishing up projects, small project, day labor projects. Blading, brushing, mowing. So, keep moving forward. Good, thanks.
All right,
Item 15,
I will move to adjourn.
we are adjourned.